The speeches that we just heard from both the director and the president are compact with so much information, compact with so much of the reality. But I want to be able to go back to the beginning as to where this all commenced for me in this capacity as Minister of Justice. When I became minister, I was invited to the prosecution's services office. I was brought into a room. After a while, we sat down, we watched videos, and then they proceeded to tell me about the lack of this particular service, victim support services. And one of the stories that they shared with me, or one of the experiences, I should say, that they shared with me was that of, you recall that unfortunate incident down at Sunset Beach some years ago when the Canadian father was shot and killed in front of his daughter? So his daughter had to come back to the island for the trial. And at some point in time, she was asked, about the experience. Of course, it's a tough one. It's challenging seeing your dad be murdered in front of you. But apparently her most impactful experience here on our island, that whole traumatic experience, was her recollecting being within our waiting area at the hospital. She's in a swimsuit, so she's not clothed really. It's cold, it's lonely, and absolutely no one came to her aid to give her something to cover with. No one came, and even though you can understand it's a traumatic experience, no one asked her, "Are you okay? Can I help you with something?" And that stood out for even the prosecution services, the prosecutors. And they said, "Minister, we have to play the role of seeking to prosecute those who have committed these offenses and console the victims as well." So that void is really missing, not having victim support services. And I committed to them that day, and I made a commitment to myself that I will see this through. I went to Aruba, I went to Curacao, I went to the Netherlands. I even went to Delaware on a short family vacation, and driving on the highway, I saw an ad that mentioned the victim support services of the police in the same area where my aunt lives. I called them up and I went and I visited them because I was so committed about it. Victim support services didn't start today in us developing it. And that's why I said, the speech of the president and the director tells you about how long we've been on this journey. I placed a prayer that today would be the start of victim support services and the end of the struggle. That from this day forward, everyone within our community, and you mentioned stakeholders, Madam President, that they will respect the need of victim support services within our community, that it will be respected that, we have for so long facilitated the attention, and even the prosecution service has said that the attention is heavily on those that are to be prosecuted, right? So they seem to be getting all the attention and little to the victims, little to the families, and even little to the offenders' families, because sometimes we are so, angry at the offenders, we don't realize they have a family that is also traumatized, but by their actions. So victim support services is such an essential need within our community, and I'm ecstatic about the fact that we are here today. I can't wait to unveil the logo, the new logo. But definitely, even in President's, presentation, she makes mention about the commitment on that financial aspect. What I heard from you is you will protect victim support services at all costs to make sure that it remains what it needs to be in our community. And I'm asking you to recognize that that is exactly the attitude to have, because there are those within our community, unfortunately, that does not recognize how impactful this platform is. And having a director like Cassandra, we've done well, haven't we? I think so too. Congrats to us. I mean, we have a powerhouse that is leading this, and she goes and she sits next to another powerhouse. Give applause for me for Officer Richardson. Officer Richardson of CARP-ASM is one of those who leads our domestic violence, and she's really about the victims as well, recognizing that, you know, they really need that support. And you see how they're sitting close together? That's how they work as well. So we have a good team, and I really want to say congratulations, and congratulations to each of you who made it on a point to be here. Thank you so very much. Congratulations.
Is related to hurricane shelters. Projections are that this will be an active hurricane season. And I understand that the hurricane shelters, I think while they're administered by VSA, I think that the structures themselves, the agreements are handled through general affairs. Can you update our hurricane shelter preparations on track for what is presumed to be an active hurricane season?
Yes, the hurricane shelters have been all upgraded with generators and water supply. They have to be maintained by the Ministry of RAMI, not General Affairs. So when we do our EOC prep meetings, the different emergency support functions within government, the one that work for VROMI, the ones that represent VROMI, give the updates on whether the generators have been serviced, they're ready with oil and whatever else, gas and whatever else they need. They're the ones that give those updates. And VSA updates on whether they have enough workers, whether they have enough cots and materials, etc., to supply and manage the shelter once it's opened. So it is a joint effort during the emergency, but the preparatory work is with the Ministry of RAMI. And they are prepared. And I did notice that the hurricane season projections were announced. And I will continue to hope and pray that St. Martin does not get the major effects. Last year was also projected to be a very busy one, and it was busy, but we were very blessed in that they mostly diverted away from St. Martin. So I would pray and hope that that will continue to be the case. But of course, people of St. Martin, always be prepared for any eventuality. Ensure that your insurances are up to date and that you have secured your property as well as the needed materials as we enter the hurricane season, because what we've also noticed is that the hurricane season starts earlier and it lasts longer. So though it's June to November, we've seen tropical storm like activity last year also before June 1st and post November 30th. So be vigilant, be prepared, and remember to stay calm. If we are in a frenzy, we definitely can't make the right decisions.
So just a clarification question, sorry. You mentioned that so there's the roof repair projects where many of the roofs that were damaged in Irma were financed and repaired through the trust fund. Mm-hmm. Is there also a plan to ensure that those homes that were repaired have now insurance in place? Because if government's invested in replacing the roofs, it'd be good if that's an insured investment and not to be replaced subsequently.
Yeah, again. I would have to double check with the Ministry of VSA. I know they put some programs in place to also do even more roof repairs because, of course, not all persons were eligible under the trust fund project. And so they continued with roof repairs throughout last year, 2022 last year, and hopefully they will continue this year. I believe in the minister's presentation that was addressed, and social services to those who needed it. I know that insurance is a serious issue, and a lot of the vulnerable were elderly who wouldn't necessarily be able to afford it. So I don't know if it would fit within the social services package or program that the Ministry of VSA has, but it's definitely something that I will pass on to the minister and see whether he has a response for you.
of life's twists, turns, and defining moments. RBC is a blend for all of you. SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
Madam Chair, I listen clearly to everyone speak. I listen clearly to members of Parliament try their best to give reassurance to each other. But the difference is the faces, the energy doesn't match. You see, I hear the good MP, now Farmateur, speak of a day where we can wake up and don't look in our phones for headlines and work together and stop bashing each other. That is true. I do wish for that day, but it's not a reality. And we are living in a real world. And from the time we postulate ourselves, that is what we signed up for. Because unfortunately, it comes with the job. Madam Chair, while I hear about 2x4s being used to build and 2x4s being used to start the erection of buildings, I can say this: 2x4s cannot, and I repeat, cannot and will not ever handle the pressure of a multi-story building made of concrete. And why do I say this? See across the road? Across the road, that is a multi-story building made of concrete. The pressure you will face will break a 2x4, not in 2, not in 3, but in 4. So I could share it up equally after that. You see, April 26 is a whole lot of sun for this 2x4 to take. Because, Madam Chair, imagine if the 2x4 is twisting and turning before the members of Parliament or soon-to-be ministers can say, "So help me God." What makes you think the 2x4 is going to withstand 4 years of governing? With that, the only thought I can say is, "Oh, help me, God." Madam Chair, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that it's time to be in opposition. I believe it's time to allow people who may think they have all the answers, who may think they can do better, the opportunity to do better. And I have said this before, I do not wish for your failure. Because if you fail, St. Martin fails. We can throw punches, throw jabs, but on a serious note, I do not wish for your failure. But what I can say is this: while the common story from each and every faction has been, how are we going to explain the people if we leave? How are we going to explain the people? But let me give you an opening. DP, now, PFP, this is your chance. The Super 7 is waiting. The opportunity is here. Because if you don't take the opportunity and the gate closes and you miss the bus, you won't have to be explaining to people why you left. You'll have to be explaining to people from a podium as to why, after a government lasted 4 years, you are bringing them back to election at 2. Take heed, or even a year, MP, you're right. Take heed to my warning. I am giving you the reason, and I am extending that open invitation on behalf of the Super 7. Madam Chair, yesterday I got a lot of calls and even a lot of texts from some of the coalition members that says, after I speak, say, man, Lord. And I said, Lord, what? Where did I lie? And all of them say, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you didn't lie. Today you hear the MP himself said it. I don't believe in UNOPS. I don't want UNOPS. And then my good colleague, MP Marlin, read, we need the Dutch to be more involved in St. Martin. I say this, let us put country above self. And if something should come, whether it's opposition, we see amendments from opposition members, we see amendments from coalition members. And I have sat with coalition members that tell me they're going to bring an amendment, they're going to bring something. And I would give my 2 cents and give my advice, because if it's for St. Martin, then it's for me. If it's for St. Martin, then it's for my family. If it's for St. Martin, then it's for each and every one of us. So, this budget, while some may support and some may not support, as an MP, of course, I support. And as a minister, that is my budget. I stand by my staff in VSI that proudly prepared this budget, proudly took everything that we have done over the past, well, I can speak over the past 2.5 years, and everything we have built on, and all the visions and dreams, although some may change, and I look at my SG, and the vision may change, but I advise you to steadfast and always work as you continuously do from your heart. Because VSI is not a money-making industry. As you can see, our bills are upwards of 98 million, while our incomes are 1-point-something million. VSI is a ministry of helping the people. And VSI was a ministry that have been overlooked. It was a ministry that nobody wanted. But now it's a hot commodity. Because again, we made it look good. We made it look good. So to my whole team that is looking at me, that is listening to me, I thank each and every one of you. Because without you, I could not have done it. So I want to take this moment and thank you personally.
Chair, I realize we didn't have much questions tonight on the budget, and I think the incoming government understands now their position and their role, even though it's now delayed. Madam Chair, through you, Madam Chair, when I hear certain MPs talk, for example, about UNOPS and the budget, again, I will state, Madam Chair, every MP in here had opportunities to make amendments. If you thought UNOPS wasn't something you want, if you thought it went near, whatever, the tax, whatever you didn't believe in, you'd had an opportunity to take it out. Every MP inside of here. We only have one amendment, we have 2 amendments so far, I believe, by 2 different MPs. So they are making their proposals, their changes to the budget. But Madam Chair, I want people of St. Martin to understand that the MP who was talking about UNOPS and he doesn't believe in it, at the end of the day, the next Minister of Justice that happens to fall under his portfolio, I guarantee you in Budget 2025, it'll be right there again. It wouldn't be removed. They'll execute exactly what the current Minister of Justice started already. It'll be there. And again, if they want it to be there, they'll take it out from now. But the smart thing is, to act as if you don't want it, to let your coalition support it with us, have it approved, and say, but it wasn't me. But it wasn't me. But at the end of the day, as you just mentioned, you are part of 2x4, so it is you. So the fact that your coalition is supporting it, it will be approved. See, it will be executed by the next Justice Minister, which falls under the MP's party. Madam Chair, it's just a gimmick. It's just talk. And as I mentioned before, everything that's in this budget by the Ministry of Justice will be executed by the current MP's upcoming minister. Madam Chair, also I think the MP gave a fair warning to the formateur actually, saying that you have 26 days because he doesn't like the fact that it's taking so long. So you have 26 days and the clock is ticking to get this government in. And the fact that the MP could mention that it's taking too long and the 2x4 in the sun is too long, it is bend, it is break. I think that's a very, very selfish statement that if I don't get my way within the next 26 days, then I gone. If I don't get my way in the next 26 days, I gone.
MP Emmanuel, you have an interruption.
Thank you very much. If you're going to say what I said, say what I don't lie.
I ain't calling names.
Don't lie. The only person here that said anything about to Buffalo bedding is me. Don't lie. Come now. Speak truth. Say it as it is. Madam Chair, I'm on the record from day one about UNOPS. From day one. I'm on the record, clear about it. From day one, I didn't support it. But if you're going to stand here on the floor of Parliament and blatantly tell lies, then it's seriously unbecoming of. No wonder you're outgoing. But come now, say it as it is. Say what I say. Don't say what I didn't say. Don't lie.
Thank you,
Because
MP.
what he's saying, Madam Chair, is blatant lies. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Emmanuel. MP Aaron, you can continue.
Madam Chair, the fact is that the MP that stands before me, or was before me, the fact is he still had the opportunity to amend the budget, which he didn't. The MP will support, his coalition will support the budget, and if they do, then they will be supporting UNOPS, the government that he is supporting. And that's a fact. That's no lie. So at the end of the day, the same, again, it's just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick to say, I didn't, but his coalition will. So as much as he's against, it will be there, and it will be executed by the next Minister of Justice, which falls under his party. Madam Chair, somebody messaged me and said that, why is the formateur always preaching gloom and doom? Every meeting is doom and gloom, and St. Martin is this, and we're not this, in the next 4 years. Madam Chair, we came into this as a government in 2020 with a pandemic. No money, country shut down, no cruise lines, no airlines. We depend 95% on tourism. So that means we had no income coming in. We are now handing over a budget that the last opposition said was a bad budget, it wasn't realistic. Today they were proven wrong with a surplus if you watch a Q4 report. So, we wouldn't get CapEx, we're not supported, it's unrealistic. Today we have the first capital expenditure since a decade. We basically are handing over the incoming government, a budget with over 100 million guilders worth of capital expenditure to execute, and they're still complaining. Doom and gloom. We had doom and gloom, Madam Chair. We don't want to experience a pandemic. We're the ones that had a country shut down. They have an easy task, and all we're hearing is doom and gloom. What more do you want? We couldn't make it easier. We couldn't make it easier for the incoming government. Madam Chair, someone mentioned to me, MP mentioned to me regarding inexperience of some incoming MPs, but also the formateur. And the formateur today mentioned that it's the first time that he put out in the public, in social media, about the current process. But this is the same individual that has complained about transparency and being open to the public. So there's no reason to not be transparent and inform the public. There's no reason. So I look forward to in the next 26 days to have more updates on the formation of this government and the transparency of the formateur.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you.
It was truly a battle royale for the Queen of the South title between Rachel Smith facing the screen and Kim Holder. And at this point, it was locked 21-all in the first game. And Holder's return into the net gave Smith the one-up advantage. But it will soon be leveled again as Smith now gets a return all wrong, making it 22-all. Game point for Smith and she serves out. So it's now 2019. Second attempt to sew things up, and it was not so easy to claim possibly the longest rally of the game. Holder thought it was out, but the play continued. Both women in a cautious mode, and then Holder hits a tad bit too hard. It's out. Smith claims the second game at 21-19, but Holder staged a comeback, and this shot started it all. Holder put mind to matter and had Smith on edge, an answer for every shot. And this drop shot saw Smith save it while losing her racket, and Holder capitalized. Holder went from down by 2 to be up by 7, 19-12. And smelling victory, she was holding her own, the veteran being cool under the pressure. And this backhand drive put her on the brink of the win. Game and match point. Smith serves, and there's a dead ball into the net. It's signed and sealed. Holder taking the final game at 21-12. Kim Holder is the inaugural winner of the Queen of the South all-female road tennis tournament.